We're
All
live.
right, welcome. We are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to a very special episode of Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 364. This marks, I got to count here, 7 years of Hump Day Hangouts. So we're really, really happy for those of you who are able to join us today. For the people who have been watching over the past 7 years, whether you've been watching us for a week, a month, or all 7 years. I know we've got some people who've been with us a really long time, but we just want to say we really appreciate it. Keep the questions coming. We love it. And we're looking forward to doing this for many, many more years. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. We got a few giveaways. We're also going to have a special guest joining us. But first, as always, we're going to take a minute, take a deep breath, and say hello to everyone. So Chris, how are you doing? You look like you're taking a deep breath there.
Yeah, like as instructed. Yeah. I'm doing good, happy, super excited. I already had cake today. And what's the English word for that? Apricot dumplings.
Nice.
So it was quite a nice dessert. It was good. Obviously, I added quark to it to about my protein intake.
Outstanding.
But yeah, super excited. And should I get to the special already? I mean, like that's the one where Bradley is going to sing for us today.
Oh yeah, nobody wants that. Trust me.
Happy birthday, Hump Day Hangout. Yep, nobody wants to hear that.
Just kidding.
Brock just joined us. We're gonna chase him away, man. Stop it.
What's up, guys? No, it's all good.
What's up, dude?
How everybody doing today?
Good, man. Glad you got it. Just so you know, we are live. So we're recording, and we were just telling everyone, I think Bradley mentioned this to you. This is our 7-year anniversary of doing these weekly webinars. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we got some fun stuff. We're going to do some giveaways for people, and we're definitely going to hop into things here. So I'm just working my way down the list. Bradley, how you doing today?
Good, man. Happy to be here. It was one of those crazy days where I was like knee deep in just client stuff and everything else. And I looked down, I was like, oh shit, we got like 6 minutes until the webinar starts. So even on a 7-year anniversary, I was worried about other stuff. You know what I mean? So anyway,
yeah. Well,
but Brock, hey man, nice to have you here, buddy. Like I said, I'm kind of a fanboy on your Patreon channel, dude. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
I've been singing praises about it too, man, because it's great for $20 a month. So, and I thought it was really cool just to invite you on and just have you kind of kick it with us for about an hour, if that's cool with you.
No, dude, I love it, man. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, I'm the same way, Brad. I've seen some of your content, man. I'm really intrigued.
Cool.
So yeah, it's awesome to kind of
Brock, if you can, Bradley's told us a little bit about you. I haven't, we haven't interacted before. Can you tell everyone who's watching just a little bit of background, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so I own my own agency. I do a little bit of content creation on the side. We've got the YouTube channel, Brock Misner YouTube channel, and then we do the Patreon that Bradley mentioned. I wish I had enough time to create more content, but like I said, I do have an agency that I run. And, like Bradley was saying earlier, I mean, just things come up, clients call, things break. I mean, it's just a never ending cycle of like putting fires out, even when you get to a point where you're delegating a lot of the work, or still finds a way to definitely pull you in, but I love consulting and training. I love testing, trying new things, just trying to just figure out anything to do. I can get that a competitive edge. Right. And maps is one of those things that's really intriguing, where you've got so many different angles that you can go with. The links are, you can just get crazy with like machine IDs or place IDs. Like we've done a lot in the Patreon, like KML files, and then throwing them in the back of like map embeds. I mean, it's just trying to think like a robot or a search engine, and really becoming the most relevant for whatever the search query is.
Yeah. And that's what I've said. I've had, I've told a lot of our members over the last few weeks now that, go check out Brock's Patreon channel. It's only $20 a month. He does these awesome short little videos, little GMB hacks all the time, and they're great. And like I said, I've seen a lot of really cool things. Like I first got turned on to you when from your free video you did about patch articles, classified announcement posts. And I was like, all right, let me give this thing a shot. And sure enough, damn, those things rank like crazy, man. You can hit a patch article with pure kitchen sink spam and rank it, like, especially if you're running some CT spam traffic to it, like click-through spam traffic. Like it just within 30 days, almost every time I can rank a patch article for even the primary keyword. Like I'm in the tree service industry, but like tree service city, I can rank it like within 30 days, almost every single time, just with
Yeah.
kitchen sink spam and CT traffic. It works like crazy. So now
Yeah, that's awesome.
once I started testing that and I realized how good it worked, I was like, dude, $20 a month, I'm in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I wish I could do, I wish I could, like I said, I wish I could do more. So I try to over deliver, as best I can. But yeah, the reason I found that I was going through Google News because I was just trying to figure out like what websites I could get links from, right? And then I just didn't realize because, like nobody really talks about parasite SEO anymore. I mean, that's something that's kind of like has been long gone, right? For like the past
still
few
works.
years. Yeah,
Still works.
it's still out there, for sure. It's not as easy. It's like throwing up a Medium article or something like it once was, but it's definitely works.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Adam, what else do we have to announce before? I guess we ought to tell a little bit about, the format of today's webinar or Hump Day Hangout, because we got some prizes to give away and stuff like that.
We do. And I also want to say, so Aaron K just commented, he said, "Hey, Brock, my boss signed up for Patreon yesterday." So
nice. Thank you.
awesome. So yeah, Brock, if you can message me too, the link, we'll get that up on the page where people are watching, and happy to share that with people.
Yeah. I will, I'll throw it in. Let me find it.
Cool. All right, going to wrap up some quick announcements and then we will jump into it. So like I said at the beginning, thanks for watching. Whether you've been here, this is your first time, or you've been with us for 7 years, really do appreciate it. Of course, we understand that not everybody can make this live, and that's okay, whether it's every once in a while or it just doesn't work in your schedule. Just make sure you hop over to YouTube, type in Semantic Mastery, click subscribe, you'll get updates. And if you've been watching us for any amount of time, we chop up the Hump Day Hangouts to make them quick, digestible to answer those questions. So when you go in, you can find stuff really easily. And if you're subscribed, you'll get notifications about those. So you can just hop in, ask your question at semanticmastery.com/HD questions, and then you'll get notified on YouTube of the updates. So good way to do it, but we love it when you join us live. We like the interaction. Plus it helps us if we need clarification for your question. We can ask you to provide some more info and you can get it to us and we can get you the best answer possible, or at least point you in the right direction. So the other thing I want to say too, if you haven't yet and you're into GMBs, which if you're listening to us, you are probably into GMB stuff, you should check out Bradley's GMB process checklist over at gmbprocess.com. Super easy, gmbprocess.com. And if you're ready to take your digital marketing and results to the next level, if you have an agency or you have a brick and mortar, then you want to join our mastermind community. All right. And I'm not going to bore you with that right now. There's a ton of really good information available about it at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And speaking of the mastermind, that is going to be one of the prizes that we are going to be giving away today. So the best question, Bradley is going to be choosing that today, what he feels the best question asked is, and that's going to get you free entrance into the mastermind for 3 whole months. So good stuff there. We're also going to be giving away some t-shirts, some of these very nice newly designed Semantic Mastery t-shirts that Chris Greenhow designed for us. And we'll be getting into that later on. So with the announcements out of the way, Bradley, you guys want to cover anything you want to, or do you want to dive into questions?
Well, no, just that, 7 years, 364 episodes. We've only taken 2 weeks off in all 7 years, and they were scheduled time off. So, this has been a passion of ours for sure. I love coming here and just answering questions for an hour. It's been fun. I've always looked forward to this. In fact, I meant to, I swear to God I did. And maybe if Adam has something else he can chat about for a minute, I can look it up. Or Adam, you can go to the YouTube channel and find it. Find episode number 1.
Ooh,
and we'll bring it up just for a minute.
I don't know, man. These videos are scary. Like,
yeah,
I
dude,
always
that
look
was
back at, like the YouTube videos I made in like 2014. I'm just like, hey, I'm Adam. It's really funny to watch that stuff.
That would have been 2014 for sure. We were all a bit stuffy behind the camera for sure, and and I was like almost 300 pounds at the time. So it's crazy, but we've come a long way since then for sure. And we appreciate you guys, because we wouldn't still be doing this on a weekly basis unless we had participation. And, it's just been a lot of fun. And so I appreciate it very much, and hope we can do it for another 7. So good enough.
Yeah, let's do it.
And Brock, did you get your link out for Patreon by chance?
Yep, I got it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want the link to the page, Brock, but I can drop this in chat for you if you don't already have it. I'll put this in Slack. Or not Slack, excuse me, Zoom. I'm so used to saying Slack. Okay, cool. So if it's cool, we're just going to jump into some questions. And Brock, I would like to, ask your opinion on some of these as well. Most of the questions we get are local SEO related. So I know this is right up your alley, buddy. All right, let me grab the screen. You guys are seeing my screen, correct?
Good to go.
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay, good. Let's see, where are we? Must be in here somewhere. Can you know where we're at by chance, Adam?
Yeah, just keep scrolling up. Let me find it real quick. We are on the rugs. So rugs has 2 questions after David Zion port. So scroll down. Scroll down.
There we go.
Yep.
We're getting close.
There you go. Does adding Geo and Exif data. Oh, you're way up there. Keep scrolling down.
Yeah, there used to be timestamps on all these, and they're
Yeah.
not anymore. And I don't know what happened.
That's interesting. It shows on mine. There you go. Does adding Geo and maybe the one above it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we talked about this slightly last week, but that's okay. We can start here. So David says, I started doing tier 2 as money site variants now, so I can supercharge tier 1, but that's my process and mindset. Yeah, I think this was a comment from last week. So, okay, Rugg says, does adding Geo and Exif data added to images still matter for GMB? Yes, it does. What I like to do is watermark images. Logo overlay and then watermark it with, kind of like transparent text. It helps not only that, but you can use the same images over and over because every time you watermark them and do a text overlay as well, and when I say watermark, guys, I mean, you can put like NAP on them with text that's got real transparency turned way up so that it's almost invisible. But Google will read that. And I still do, first of all, the best images to use are real images that are taken from phones with GPS enabled, location information and everything that's imprinted in the metadata of the images themselves, but it's very difficult to get that. I only have a handful of clients that actually do that and do it consistently. So for the most part, I still have to generate our own images. I've talked about this before, but I like to do YouTube videos where we just go into like tree service stuff and select high definition videos and take screenshots of, a guy up in a tree cutting a tree down or whatever. And then we shrink those down to about a 600 by 400 dimensions and we geotag them. I've been using Mass Optimizer Pro. There's another one called the xfer.net that works pretty good. That's kind of like an online version of it. And then I always watermark stuff. And I started doing that, 6 months ago. And what I like about that is I can take the same like 100 photos that we pulled from YouTube videos, and I just had a VA do that for me, and use them over and over and over again, because each time we we geotag them and then we watermark them with the logo overlay, NAP, and everything for each specific location, they become unique. So for me, it's a great way to do it. Now I know Google strips that data out when you upload it, but it reads it on upload. So I think it's important to still put that. It just takes a moment to especially if you're using a tool like Mass Optimizer Pro or something where you can geotag a bunch of photos all at once. It just makes it very efficient to do so. And it's just one extra step that can be done quickly, but I think helps just a little bit. So what do you think, Brock?
I think you nailed it right on the head there, Bradley. Like I would have answered just about the same, word for word almost, right? The only thing I added, something that I am testing with right now is, everybody, as SEOs usually have the thought process of adding your own geotags or your exit data yourself, right? But if you think about Google and the data that they keep and they record and the records that they keep, it's kind of trying to get Google to add that data for you, if that makes sense, without giving it away. I was surprised. I have an Android phone, right? And I took some pictures recently because I was going to a wedding. So I had to like the shirt had to match like the color palette, right? And I was at like some department store. So I took a picture of a shirt and sent it to my wife that was like on the other side of the store, right? And then Google, like later on, I got home, I got a notification that Google knew exactly I was at that store. And I took that specific picture inside of that store, right? And wanted me to upload it to their GMB.
Yeah.
Right. So I thought that was fascinating. I haven't seen it before. I don't know if anybody else has, but trying to get that data from like the other side, as well would be interesting. But
Yeah.
I haven't been able to replicate it yet.
Yeah, well, like I said, I work in the tree service industry, and so I've got contractors, and some of them will do it. One of my contractors does it consistently, and it's great because he's just crushing it. But I tell them every time you're out on a tree job, just snap a couple of photos, man, and upload them through the GMB app directly to the photo section. That's all it has to be done, because all that data is uploaded. And I know, because I've taken videos on my Android when I was like driving down the road. It was one of those like dash cam, like where I'm talking into while I'm driving, type things. And sure enough, I went and looked at the metadata in the file, because it was in Google Photos, right? Because it's Android, so it was automatically there. And I looked at the little I button or whatever to look at the metadata, dude,
Right.
and it showed the velocity that I was traveling while that video was being recorded. I mean, it's insane.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. And I know what you're saying. If you take photos and you're anywhere near like a business that has a GMB, Google will send you an email like, hey, why don't you upload your photo to this
Right,
location?
to that GMB, yeah, because they know
Yeah.
you're there, right? The
Yeah.
thing is, like, trying to manipulate that, is kind of the key.
Yeah,
So
right.
they've gotten really smart. Like, I don't know if you've ever like played around with like playing around with your geo coordinates on your phone or whatever. But like if you start getting too crazy, like Google will give you a message and say like your GPS coordinates is like not very accurate, or like it's like low quality or something, right? So it says like it suggests you to take pictures around you to find out exactly like where you're at. So I think that's really interesting too. So
Yeah.
like images, like I think it's like something not a lot of people talk about. But I think it's going to be a huge play on like the artificial intelligence and AI. Like I think it's here now. I think it is, but especially like going on like in the future when it becomes more and more relevant.
I agree, especially because they're, image recognition and all that kind of stuff is just getting way better. They're reading text in the images, and it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's fascinating. If you ever drop an image into Google Cloud, which I'm sure you have, like all this stuff it picks out, it's amazing, really.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna break in real quick. I got so excited doing the introduction and talking about it being 7 years. I forgot to tell people the other two ways. So Bradley's gonna choose the best question, but then we're also going to be giving away a free t-shirt for the best story about how Hump Day Hangouts has helped you in any way, shape, or form. Just let us know in the comments. And the best GIF is going to get a free t-shirt as well. So we'll try to keep it maybe R-rated or below on the GIFs, and we'll choose one. So best story about Hump Day Hangouts has helped you or someone else best GIF, and then Bradley's going to choose the best question. So just wanted to put that in there now before it got too late, and I realized I didn't tell people how they could win.
Yeah. Sweet. So Rugg says, what's the difference between press releases at Press Advantage versus MGYB or the thhc.store? Will there be any other promos available in the future from Press Advantage for unlimited monthly plan? Well, there's no difference, because we MGYB is now the Heavy Hitter Club store. Ruggs, I replied to you below with the link over to there, and they're resellers for Press Advantage. So just for one-off press releases. So there's no difference. The difference is when you have your own account at Press Advantage, then you can go in and set up your own organization pages and, do some additional things that you're not able to do when you're ordering them as one-offs through a reseller, through MGYB or the Heavy Hitter Club store. So I did drop a link below for the 3 PRs per month subscription. Every time we do a webinar with Jeremy for that, that it changes slightly the offer, and that's what's available right now. So if that's about the best that we can do for right now, if the opportunity arises where we can do something like that again, as long as you're on our list, you'll be notified for sure. So Ivan, what's up, buddy? He says, he got broke up somehow. He says, congratulations for your 7-year anniversary. Been following you guys since 2014, every Wednesday, live in the beginning, and the last 2 years via YouTube on Wednesday nights. That's awesome, Ivan. Thank you very much. That's crazy. 7 years. He'd been following us too. And that's a name we've seen for about that long too. So Aaron says, what versions of a GMB post URL will pass link juice as a 301 link? I think you're getting your terms a little bit confused here, Aaron. But I'll finish the question first. He says, I know the URL from a GMB post located in the GMB website is a 301 link. No, what we talk about is the inner page URL from a post. So whenever you create a post on GMB, it becomes an inner page of the GMB website. So it'll give you a business.com or excuse me, business.site/post/ and then the post ID. And that gives you your like inner page URL from the GMB website for the GMB post. That's not a 301. That's a straight URL. So it's not a redirect unless you redirect, create a redirect from another domain somewhere. What with the 302 redirects that I think you're referring to, which somehow my page just jumped, are the share URLs for any one of those GMB posts. So if you get the share URL from either inside the GMB dashboard, once you've published a post, or you get it from the knowledge panel where the post appears, if you're looking at desktop and you see the post in the knowledge panel, or if you're in Google Maps and you see the post and you click on it to expand it, and then you click the share icon, that's going to give you that short URL from Google for the post. And if you run that through a redirect tracer like Where Goes or something like that, you'll see that there's multiple 302 redirects. So the point that I'm trying to make is just use the inner page URL if you're going to be building links to your. Now, just let me back up for a minute. For pushing link equity, you want to use the inner page URL. So that's so that you can push link equity into the GMB post, and then wherever the GMB post is linking to, you can, with the CTA button, you can push juice that way. But if you're it does make sense though, guys, to build links to the share URLs, because only SEOs build link to the inner page URLs on GMB websites, right? Anybody else that's going to share a GMB post is going to do it through a share URL. So it makes sense for a natural link profile to build links, occasionally to the share URLs as well. And then if you're doing any sort of click-through spam traffic or running traffic, however you're doing it, whether it's Google Ads or CT spam bots or whatever, you also think about that. You probably want to be running some traffic through the share URLs, because that's more the natural type of URL that will get click activity than an inner page URL. Does that make sense? So you got to look at it like, first of all, like what would a civilian be doing? And then what do SEOs do? And kind of blend the two a bit so that you have kind of a more natural profile. At least that's the way I do it. So how would you attack that question, Brock?
No, once again, I would have just answered just about the same. Yeah. Sometimes I will trace the URL shell button and get whatever link that is, but I'm all about mimicking natural behavior, and obviously trying to leave as little footprint as I possibly can. Google can get really weird sometimes about building links to like the Google My Business. It's almost like they go out of their way, like everything's like a redirect or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, absolutely. The inner pages in the business.site is huge, especially just juice up a post or whatever, and then whatever you're linking out, it's almost like a tiered link building,
Yeah.
right? Well, it is, yeah, no.
I always talk about like, you can push massive power through the GMB website, man. It's incredible. Like it's just crazy. I've got some test studies or case studies that I've done in our mastermind, where just using the GMB website and GMB post to rank organically, like the location landing page, by just building links through the GMB website to the location landing page. And it works really well. I've got one that I'm going to be updating our mastermind members with during the next webinar that I do about that specifically. It was about 2 months ago I set it up. Ran several PBN links to a GMB post silo, and it was only like 3 posts in the silo, but it was a push silo to where they were daisy chained together. The CTA buttons linked from post C to B, B to A, and then the button on post A linked to the location landing page. And I just hit those with several PBN links, and sure enough, it ranked on page 1, the organic location landing page. And if you look at the landing page backlink profile, there's like 3 links. 2 of them are from those like shitty scraper sites that just link to those .info whatever types of shitty directory sites. So it's
Right.
like it's not even registering the GMB the post URL in Majestic, but that's where all the power is coming from. You know what I mean? It's interesting.
They're good because you can get a little bit aggressive with those business sites and not have to worry so much about a penalty like you would with something else, right? It's something I've just recently started playing around with. I don't know if you have or not. Is I've created an RSS feed for my Google My Business posts, and I blast it out. I haven't gotten any results yet. I've just started it. So just reminded me of that when you brought up building links to it.
With this, right? Is that where you're getting your RSS feed from?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I do the same damn thing. And there's there's this great little automated link building tool called Yive Ranker. Are you familiar with it?
No,
Like-
I haven't used it. No, I use GSA mostly.
Okay.
Mhm.
I got this really cool tool. It's called Yive Ranker, YIVE Ranker, I think .com. But anyway, it's a total spam tool, but it's great because you can set up RSS campaigns to where whenever there's a new post detected in the feed, it just automatically starts building links to the. And so I do that with the GMB
Really?
website. With the GMB website RSS, create an RSS feed from the GMB website using RSS.app. And then I just connected it in there, and there's like several different templates and things like that. But it's not, these are the types of links that Majestic won't even register, or that won't even register in Majestic, which is fine, but it's like, it helps them to get recognized and noticed. So, and it's 100% automated. So it's,
Yeah,
you don't have to come content or anything.
I might have to try that out.
Yeah.
It's
pretty cool.
definitely into that. That is really cool,
and-
actually.
Something else I've shared a lot recently, Brock, is I've been using OneUp app as my GMB post scheduler, and that allows you to post to GMB via RSS, and it does it really well because it gives you the option, like if you're using for example, a blog RSS feed from the money site associated with the GMB. If you're blogging, if you're not, then so be it. But I'm going to explain here. Like, there's a couple really cool things you can do with it. With the RSS app, OneUp app, you can take an RSS feed and have every time it detects a new post, it will use the featured image from the post as the image in the GMB post, and it pulls the title from the post as the GMB post text. That's it.
Oh.
So it doesn't pull any of the body content in from the post because you only get 1,500 characters anyway. But
That's
pulls the
really all you
title.
need is just your primary keyword in there, right?
That's right.
That's really.
And so, and then when you set it up, the campaign up, you get the option of either having the CTA button always linked to the post URL from the feed, or to any URL that you want. And so what's great about that is you can literally steal other people's RSS feeds from topically related blogs and set it up as an automated activity post, campaign in RSS, or OneUp app. So that, like, essentially, and then just set the CTA button to always link back to like the GMB website or the location landing page, the CID map URL, whatever you want, or
That's
just
pretty
swap
slick.
it out. Like, yeah, it's great. And so, like, we do manual posting for like GMB silos and stuff. But when it comes to like just the automated activity posts activity posts, like at least once per week, we can automate that 100%. And if you're already blogging or doing press releases a couple times a month and grab an RSS feed from your press, like in my case, Press Advantage organization page, then like every time we do a post, it just auto publishes now to GMB, which is awesome. So
That is really cool.
yeah,
That is really cool. You got a couple good little tricks here. A couple.
that's awesome.
Have to check them out.
Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you, Aaron. The inner page URL is the URL that you can push power with, but like we both just said, it's, if you're going to be doing like click-through spam traffic or any sort of engagement signals and things like that, it also makes sense to use the share URL for the post, because like I said, that's what Google's expecting to see activity on. Doing what we do, whenever I'm teaching about this kind of stuff, I'm always thinking purely on SEO's kind of methods, like on how to get results with SEO. But at the same time, you have to think about like, how would normal people link to a GMB post, right? They would use the share button or the share link, the short link. So cool. All right. Yeah, my boss signed up for Patreon yesterday. That's awesome. Where does somebody buy CT spam traffic? Well, I mean, I use Viper Tools, which is Michael Bowe's products, but then also Google Ads. You can run traffic with Google Ads, guys. I've taught that for years. With the display network, it's really cheap. I mean, I've got campaigns I set up for like, as little as $1 or $1.50 per day. The average cost per click for most of my campaigns is about 25 cents. So you can get 4 to 6 clicks per day on $1 to $1.50 with geo-targeted traffic from, especially if you buy it from an in-market audience or a life event audience. Those are audiences predefined like buckets, right? That Google has placed real Google users in because it has determined or deemed that they're likely in market for whatever whatever segment you select. And those tend to work really, really well. So you either need to have a CT spam tool. There are several of them out there. The one that I've been using for several months now is Viper Tools. But you can also buy engagement signals direct from Google, which I feel it tends to actually be a little bit more effective because it's real Google users with real Google profiles attached to them, especially if you can find an in-market segment, because Google knows that those people are likely in market for the product or service that you're going to be advertising to them. And so I think those clicks are weighted a lot heavier than like a CT spam bot click would be, right? So have you played around with that much yet, Brock? CT spam stuff?
Yeah, so just like a CTR bot.
Yeah.
I use CTR Booster still. It's been great for like the past year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
I've always thought about using Viper. I've heard some things about that. I was like, I wanted to try, and then I was intrigued. Somebody, because of the Google profiles. I think the Google profiles they're like logged in when you do like YouTube views or whatever.
Yeah.
Really wanted to like try some tests on that as well. And I like the idea of everybody kind of sharing and like actually using real IPs and real computers to a degree, right? For the CTR traffic, instead of just trying to use like some rotating residential IP proxy or something. But I just never got around to it. I actually talked to him a couple months ago. I was going to sign up, and then something happened, and I just got busy.
Well, you should. He's a good guy, and like I said, he's got a really good group, and his tools, they're good. They've been working I started messing with it in February. The first few months they were buggy. I've said this publicly before. Michael knows, but that they were buggy, so it was a bit frustrating at times. But the last couple of months have been really stable, and working really, really well. And guys, it's not a be all end all. Like, CTR or manipulating click-through rate is not going to be like ranked. If you're not doing on page and do, if you don't check all the boxes that you should normally check, it's not going to help, right? You have to still do all the other stuff. I think a lot of people, they think it's a magic bullet. Like they're going to get these CT bot tools and they're just going to start ranking shit everywhere. And it's just not really the case. You still have to do all the on page stuff and everything else. And where I find them to be best, and I just did a webinar with Michael's group. I think brand searches are one of the most powerful features of doing that, because it's a great signal to Google when people are searching for a company by brand name, especially for local businesses. So brand searches are really, really effective and in referral traffic. So running traffic, like I love to run traffic through press releases, announcement posts, classified announcement posts, citations, anything like that. GMB posts, we set up traffic. And it's great because I get those emails all the time that says, congratulations, your post's been viewed, 37 times. Your post has been clicked, 12 times. And that's a lot of that CTR spam traffic.
We did this good CTR work this month.
Yeah. But I mean, it works. So.
No, it does. Brand traffic is huge, I think. And I think it's gotten a lot more weighted this past year as well. So brand plus hours, directions, right?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that.
Navigational search queries. So yeah, and I just did a webinar last 2 weeks in a row. I did a webinar specifically talking about that. And yeah, exactly right. So brand, company name phone, company name contact, company name location, company name hours, domain.com, like whatever their domain is, like all those types of searches, and in click. So search and click, right? Those types of signals are fantastic. And I mentioned this before, but I actually learned about that from Ivan Budimir back in 2011. He brought up a patent that I think was approved in 2008, and he called it the Google site weight patent. And it was like, this was way back in 2011, guys. And they were talking about if you had two identical sites that were optimized identically, both on page and off page, which I know is theoretical, but the idea here is that the way that and he had the diagrams from the patent and everything shown. And it was talking about if one of those sites has more navigational search queries, which like branded searches, than the other, that one will always outrank the other because it's more authoritative, right? It means people are seeking that brand by name. And so way back then, before there were tools for that, we used to use microtask workers. And you would, Mechanical Turk and microtask.com and a lot of these different type of microtask sites where we would, say, okay, go search for this keyword, then find this URL, and then highlight, copy the, 18th word in the third paragraph and paste it in the answer box. And what that would do is they'd go do a search, find a URL, click it, and then they would have to spend some dwell time on the page and some scroll depth to find that one word and then paste it in the answer box. And all of those were engagement signals. And that's how we used to manipulate that way back in like 2011. No shit. And it worked. Like sometimes overnight you would see significant jumps in ranking from doing that. And then, over the years, people developed some tools, and now you can do it with Google display ads. It's super easy. So
yeah, you can do it with Facebook too. We've done a lot with Facebook as well. Same thing. What's good is if you know how to build, URLs, you can control like the search query and
suggest.
You can go like build the URL. So instead of just sending them to like your GMB, you can send them to a search query. Like if they typed in like car or like tree or like tree cutter near me or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
That's probably not even a keyword.
Yeah.
Right. So you're controlling all that, and then you just let the natural data like their GPS location or altitude or whatever, all the other stuff that Google keeps is just going to be, they're naturally plugged in. But no, that's a great Google display is really good, cheap.
It is. It's super cheap. And I've never run Facebook ads because I just really hate Facebook. I really have no desire to do that either. But I know it works from Facebook as well. But you're right. You can manipulate search strings and even force brand names to appear and suggest next to generic keyword searches, which is amazing. I've done that a number of times, and that's pretty cool too. So
getting the keywords, Google suggest keywords to populate.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool.
Risa says, Brock, do you have a press release strategy too?
I don't really have like a press release strategy per se. I utilize them and just kind of my focus on like building press releases. To me, it's like building your brand almost, right? You're trying to just get more exposure, get Google to find you in more places all around the internet. And I almost use it as an excuse, like right after a press release, to like crank up things like CTR traffic and stuff like that to make it look natural. And really solidify those links. So like one thing that I like to do with CTR boosters, they have like a backlink strategy. I can just drop in the links and it'll go to those pages and find my anchor text or whatever, and then click through to like the websites and stuff like that's really good to use. And then obviously iframe stacking and stuff, which Bradley, I'm pretty sure you're a big fan of, as we had a discussion about that the other day on Facebook,
Yeah, that's what, when we build the SEO shield, like the drive stack and the G site's a big iframe kind of hub. And so is the ID page. We use an Amazon S3 hosted HTML page, which is essentially just an iframe loop. All that is it's the ad ID designation in the local business schema. That's what we use the S3 URL for, but it's just an HTML page, which nothing but the location landing page iframed, the GMB map, the GMB website, and then Press Advantage organization page, which has its own iframe stack built into it. Then we iframe the ID page into itself at the bottom. And so it creates that like mirror and mirror, like, goes on for infinity type thing. It's an iframe loop. That's why we always called it that. And it's, it just continually feeds that, that ad ID designation is supposed to be, basically where all the entity information can be validated by the bots. And so we put local business schema on the ID page, and then we stack all the iframes from our main entity assets, as well as now I've more recently started adding the citations in there, either like in the sidebar of the HTML page so that Google will crawl the citations, or in a G sheet that you make public and then publish and embed the G sheet. And that has all of the citation URLs in it. And it works really, really good because, again, those are like an iframe loop. The bots come in and they get stuck. It's awesome.
Just keep going and going and going and going.
It's like a wormhole. It's awesome.
No, that is really cool. That is really cool. Actually, I've never heard about that, using the Amazon bucket for the actual like ad ID and using that. That's very interesting.
Well, you and I should jump on a private call sometime, Brock, and kind of exchange some ideas, man, because I got some pretty cool things I'm sure I could show you, and I'm sure you could do the same for me as well. So
yeah, no, I'd love to, man. Anytime, bro.
Vance says, hey, Gents, is there any SEO benefit to using high domain authority short URLs with 301 or 302 redirects for indexing? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with redirects. I tend to use my own because I like, branded kind of redirects. So I've kind of created some of my own redirect short link stuff, like we have for semantic mastery, smshort.link. I've got several of those for my own projects as well. I like to do a lot of stuff with 301s. And yeah, you can siphon some authority from redirect domains when they're built up enough. Like for example, MGYB had a shortener. I don't know if it's still active. It probably is. I'm sure it is because they really powered that up over the years. And it was interesting because all the drive stack files that we would build and the store we would always shorten those with the MGYB shortener. And so you would always have two sets of URLs, all of your files and folder URLs from the drive stack, and then you would have all of them shortened with the MGYB shortener. And what's interesting is a lot of the drive files that would index with the short URL, which was incredibly interesting because you'd think that it overtook a Google domain, right? A Google URL with the short URL. But a lot of the times, like the My Maps, for example, the Google My Maps, the short URL would be the one that would index instead of the Google My Maps URL, which I always thought was really interesting. Yeah. And you'd see it right in the index. So, I mean, I like to use a lot of 301s for various things to inject keywords into the string, like the URL string itself, for GMB maps, GMB websites, GMB posts, things like that. I don't do much with 302s though. What about you, Brock?
I just keep it. I don't do too much with like short links or anything, to be honest with you. I just keep everything just naked. I know like it really helps like build relevancy and stuff. I hear a lot of people that use them. I thought about, because I think there was something on, I think it was like AppSumo or something where you could like build out your own branded links. I almost came close into like buying it. I thought it would be a good idea, like to have like something for like, spend like having like the brand name of like a company and build links to it, kind of like what you were discussing about earlier. But it's not something I necessarily do too much.
Yeah, there's been some good ones on AppSumo. I picked up one called BioLink. That's really cool. You can create redirects, but you can also create like these little one page, like that's why they call them BioLink, like pages, with on custom, domains or subdomains, and they become like another tier 1 link building target because you can like list all of your, tie all of your entity assets together on this like little BioLink page, and then you can just hammer that with links. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, because you think the bot's going to go through it for sure.
Yep. Walt says, Bradley, don't speed while creating videos in your car. The cops will send you a ticket automatically. That's probably coming. What do you think all those like stupid insurance things are that like the black box that they give you to lower your insurance rates? It's so they can raise your insurance rates if you're always speeding and shit too.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah, it does. CSI Vegas will be able to frame. Yeah, that's funny. Daniel says, what's the best way to index links? So Mega Indexer is getting good reviews, or should I try mini indexers? I've quit all the other indexers. The only one I use anymore is Omega Indexer. I've been noticing though, Google has been slow as shit to index stuff lately. Have you noticed that, Brock?
Yes, big time.
Yeah.
I use Omega too. Yeah, and they used to like work. I mean, 80-90% of everything I would go through Omega would index, right? But now it's just taking a lot longer. I've noticed things like here's people complain about it just not working. But what I've noticed is it works, but it might take 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's more of a Google thing, really, on their end, as far as indexing goes. I don't know if it's just the new norm now, or if they're just going through a phase.
Yeah, I don't know either, but I've had a few projects recently that the homepage will index, but I can't get inner pages to index, and I don't know why. I've never experienced this kind of trouble getting something indexed. So really? I thought it might have been the server that it was hosted on, because I had two different sites had same trouble on the same server. So I moved one of them to a different server entirely, and still the same problem. It's been over a week now. Still can't get the inner pages indexed. So
wow,
I don't know what the problem is. I think everything's just, like Brock said, is just slower right now. So Adam says, question from YouTube: is there a limit to the number of lead gen assets you would attach to a domain? Not really. Not in my mind. It depends on how you're doing and what you're doing, really. I've got a number of multi-location kind of lead gen things that I do that I've moved. I went from subdomains, so each had their own kind of subdomain. Each location had its own subdomain, but that was kind of a nightmare to manage all those WordPress sites. So I moved them to inner pages of the root domain now. because all the way that we've been doing SEO, like knock on wood, hasn't caused any sort of penalty in years. So I started doing that, but I've actually just started building another project right now that I'm going to be doing subdomains again. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Do you do a lot of lead gen stuff, Brock, or do you just do client work?
Yeah, mostly client work, primarily. Yeah. I know people that have get into it, they make a ton of money. You know, it makes sense because you own your own asset, right? Which so I've always like, I have a friend of mine that like, he's kind of pushing me to get into it. And like, I've come very close, like to get into it myself. Just, I mean, something that I can build and just kind of grow, right, over time.
Yeah.
Especially in the local space, I think you could, you could be very profitable with some of these niches, like extremely profitable.
Yeah. I mean, I started in SEO building lead gen stuff. And that was back in 2010. So I've got lead gen assets that I've had for years. And so that's still a big part of my business. And I like it because I like to remain in control. I still do client work, but I prefer to do lead gen stuff because, again, I get to stay in control. And but yeah, I don't know as far as how many the limit would be. I've not reached it yet, if there is. So I don't know. Aaron says, yes, you are correct. I was referring to the inner page on the site when it is shared. Yeah. The inner page URL, guys, Aaron, you don't need to redirect that. I mean, you can, if you're trying to inject a keyword into a URL and things like that, you certainly can. But if you're building links to push link equity through the GMB post, you want to use that inner page URL or run the share URL all the way through a redirect tracer and whatever the destination URLs, which is typically going to be the long Google SERP URL that does the overlay with the post instead of like the inner GMB, like inner page of the GMB website. So it just depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Daniel, what's up, buddy? He says, SM is one of the best on SEO marketing advice. Been here since 2017 and still here. PS, my girlfriend says she's going to bury me in my SM shirt. That's awesome, Daniel. Thanks, man. Okay, keep moving. Why is that not moving? There we go. That looks like that didn't work. Okay, moving on. Eddie says, HDHO Hump Day Hangout helped me build backlinks for the very first time, and I destroyed the Google in my niche. Chart says it all. Thanks for the 2 years I've been asking questions and getting great answers. Truly appreciate it. Enjoyed my first POFU Live too. Got my coin right here. Oh, nice. Sweet, Eddie. So Eddie was at POFU Live this year.
Awesome. Eddie, thank you. Also got a show to keep mine handy too. So glad you got yours.
So Brock probably doesn't know what we're talking about, but our live event, this was our 4th annual live event we did in September this year. And of course it was virtual for the 2nd year in a row. But we call it POFU Live, which is the position of fuck you. In case you've ever seen The Gambler with John Goodman, he's talking to Mark Wahlberg and he's talking about the position of fuck you. And so we kind of created a live event around that.
The fuck you money.
Yeah, fuck you money. Exactly. Risa says, so are you saying you are syndicating out from your GMB to your branded syndication network? No, I'm not doing that. And the reason why is I've tried that so many different ways and it never works. And the reason why is there's no title tag in GMB posts. So whatever text you have in the GMB post gets inserted as the post title if you're trying to syndicate GMB posts to like a syndication network through IFTTT or whatever. And I've tried so many different ways, unless you're just doing like basically a title in the GMB post, which I guess you could do that, but I haven't done that because I typically have my GMB posts have, close to 200 words, which is about 1,500 characters. And so anytime you do that, it'll just pull all the text in from the GMB post and put that in the title tag. And so it looks like shit. You will likely get your syndication network properties terminated for spam because it will truncate whatever text is there, but it'll be like some long, ugly thing with like no post body. It's just the title. So I don't recommend doing that. I've tried it a number of ways and I could never get it to work. What I am saying, Risa, is taking the GMB website, creating an RSS feed from it using rss.app. And then if you can find link building tools that will automatically build links to any item that it detects in an RSS feed. And the one that I was mentioning, I don't know if this is available for sale or not, but it's this one. You can have RSS feeds that it's a bunch of templates, a pure spam tool. So I would never recommend this for like your money site feed. But something you can do is as a money site RSS feed auto post to GMB using the OneUp app. And then you have your GMB RSS feed that you create with RSS app automatically, start collecting backlinks for each post, each GMB post using a tool like this. So that again, your GMB post, if you set it up the way I was talking about with OneUp, where it will link the CTA button to the post URL from the syndication from the RSS feed. Then that way, every time you publish a blog post, it's going to auto publish to GMB with the CTA button linking back to the blog post. And in that GMB post can be auto, submitted via an RSS feed to something like this, which will automatically build links to that. And so it's kind of a great way to just start automating link building back to your GMB post without ever having to think about it. You just set it up one time and you walk away and it's done. So
that's pretty slick. I might have to try that out myself.
Yeah, man. And I'm sure you could probably do even more with GSA. I don't run any link building tools except that one because it's automated. So, okay, keep moving. Tony says, congratulations on 7 years and thanks for doing this weekly. I am in the UK, so sometimes I cannot make it live. Unfortunately, I missed the recent special GMB webinar because of a family issue. Is there a replay of this available anywhere? Thanks. If you were talking about when I was doing GMB, where I was talking about how to create GMB post silos very quickly. It's not available right this moment, but probably within the next week, it'll be up on our YouTube channel. So come back next week and ask about that, Tony. I'll probably be able to give it to you at that time. Okay. Ronnie says, is it possible to create entirely separate citation profiles for multiple GMBs under the same Google account? Is it possible to create entirely separate citation profiles for multiple GMBs under the same Google account? I'm not sure I understand that question. Does anybody else understand what the question is?
I don't know if citation would be like her Yelp listing and Facebook page. I don't know if she's talking about maybe the Google My Business, like creating multiple Google My Businesses under.
Yeah, because the way I'm reading it, and without being the one on the pointy end of the stick on doing citations for people, but I think, is it a problem to do that? Because I wouldn't think that would really be an issue, right? I mean, I don't think you'd want to have 100 under one, but if you have a couple GMBs and you're creating citation profiles, would it matter that it's under the same Google account if it's meant to be like part of one business?
No, that would look completely natural to me, right? There's lots of businesses that have multiple locations for their company or their brand, right? So, I mean, I
guess let's explore the opposite too, in case that's what they're asking. If they're creating, let's say it's lead gen and they're creating GMBs that are different businesses and then doing that with one Google account, like that would seem a little weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, God forbid anybody ever uses Yelp, but just as an example, I have a business account in Yelp that I have, multiple businesses in there for side, directory listings for clients and things like that, all underneath my business account in Yelp, if that makes sense, which I stopped using about 3 years ago. I'm just so sick of their spam.
They're horrible.
Their never ending solicitation calls for advertising it makes me sick. So I stopped using it. But several years ago, I was doing a lot more stuff with Yelp. And so I've got a business account that has multiple companies and from, in various industries, actually, that I managed under that Yelp business account. So I don't know if that's what she means, I don't know if that's what they mean, but I don't know. If you can clarify your question, we'll try to come back to it if we have time, but we're almost out of time, guys. And we still got to get a couple of these prizes out too. So Vance says, hey, Gents, how hard can I hit Facebook, Twitter, top directory sites, and Google properties that have a money site URL? Use PBNs, GSA. Do I have to tier out these platforms to hit them hard? 50,000 per month. Thank you. Yes, you can do all of that. If you're going to hit like kitchen sink spam, like GSA spam and stuff like that, my recommendation is to do at least first one layer of contextual Web 2.0 type links first before you just hit it with pure like GSA type spam. Yes, you can get away with it. We've done a lot of testing with that actually, and you can hammer like, Facebook, Twitter, Google properties and things like that, SEO shield properties. So drive stacks, G sites, all of that, you can hammer it and still get results. I tend to try not to. I try to treat my GMB website now and the CID map URL very much like a money site. where I try to be very selective about the links that I build to them, only high quality links, things like that. But I do tiered links all the time. So I still love using Web 2s, as Brock said at the beginning of this, like Parasite SEO. Still works, man. A lot of people don't talk about it as much, but I still like to build well-built tier 1 assets like Web 2.0 assets. And they're actually tier 2s in a lot of cases, because, technically your money site is like 0, right? And then your GMB website, Google Maps profile, all of those are really tier 1 assets. But I try to treat all 3, the money site or location landing page, GMB website, and the CID map URL, as kind of like all 3 is like a money asset, if that makes sense, like tier 0, right? And then I'd like to build tier 1 assets that link to those well-built assets with entity tuned or SEO tuned content on them, and then place my links very strategically in that content. And then that's where I start hammering away at tier 2 or beyond. If you're going to use like GSA, like I said, I prefer like Web 2 contextuals as the first tier, and then GSA behind that, if that makes sense. How do you typically spam stuff, Brock?
Yeah, no, very similar. I always will make sure I have a layer, excuse me, of like Google sites, or any type of like tier 2 sites, and then I'll spam away beyond that, right? That'd be like three tiers deep, 2, 3.
Rugg says, what counts more for GMB? Consistently adding photos or posts with photos? I've read that photos are more important, yet we've lately neglected photos and have done image/text posts. Well, the way I look at it is, and that's why I said, like, for the clients that I have that actually take photos, I tell them just upload them through the GMB app directly to the GMB profile. And like, I've got a pest control company that does outdoor pest control, like mosquito control and tick control and stuff like that. And they didn't want all of their technicians to be connected to the GMB app. So essentially, so I said, well, that's fine. Have your technicians take photos on location at each job and upload them as user photos, Google user photos, like customer photos. And you can still do that. You can go to Google Maps and upload a photo directly to a GMB listing through Google Maps. And so, but what's great about it is if you upload a photo, then the photo's available for you as the manager or the owner of the GMB. You can go in, and when you're creating posts, you can select photos that have already been uploaded. So in my opinion, it's kind of it's a more efficient way to do it if you can upload photos, and then you can create posts using those photos by just selecting them when you go through the post process. Also, the OneUp app that I was talking about that I use as a GMB post scheduler, when you're creating posts in there's a checkbox that gives you the option to also upload that image as a GMB photo, right? Does that make sense? So you not only can just publish a GMB post, but then it will also add that photo to the GMB photo area. What do you think, Brock?
Yeah, you need to do both.
Yeah, I agree.
Question is photos. Yeah, do both. There's no reason why you're not. Yeah, like we talked about earlier in the very beginning, I think images are going to be more and more important, for sure. But it's more of what the image is, right? And less about like exit data and stuff.
Yeah. All right, I'll get these next two real quick. Vance says, when you say build URL, do you mean an EMD keyword? I'm not sure what you mean. When I don't remember saying build URL, so maybe it didn't come through very clear, Vance. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what the question is there, Vance. When I talked about doing a redirect URL, I like to use a branded redirect URL. I got my own that I use for my tree care agency, my SEO agency for tree service contractors. But that way I can just create like a custom slug, and it gives me the ability to inject keywords and things like that. And then because I've built a lot of links to the redirects that I've created, that domain itself has been powered up. So those redirects are pretty, fairly powerful. So I don't know if that's what you meant, but last question. Ronnie says, my company has landscaping in it, but is primarily a power washing and roof cleaning biz. I haven't made a website for it yet. Would it make more sense to form a separate company that has the terms power washing and or roof cleaning in it for the sake of SEO on a WordPress site implementing the SEO shield? Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a benefit to sometimes having I don't prefer an exact match keyword domain, but having partial match keyword, I think does help. There's no question. So, but it just depends on how much work you want to do. You can still get results without the keyword being in the domain. because you can put the keyword in the URL, right, as inner pages and things like that. So it doesn't have to be in the root domain for you to get results. I think there is certainly a benefit. I don't recommend an exact match keyword domain. There, you can certainly get results with that, guys, but the threshold for being spammy is lower, right? It's easier to trip the spam filters with an EMD, exact match domain, than it is with kind of a partial match domain. Would you agree, Brock?
Yeah, no. You have to be careful, but they can still be extremely powerful exact match domains.
Yes,
sure.
they sure
But
can.
I wouldn't
So
recommend.
Adam and Chris, can you guys pick the first winners while I decide on who I want to pick?
Yeah, definitely. Chris is
Yes.
going to take over for the announcements. As life goes now, working out of the home offices, somebody just pulled up and is coming to my door. So I told Chris who one of the winners is. He's going to take care of that, and I'll be back here hopefully before you guys are off.
All right, we got the first winner for how he helped Hump the Hangout. His name is Eddie B. We got a second winner for the GIF. I really like the gold member one. So we'll pick Daniel Hartnett. And third one is on to Bradley.
Well, I'm still looking. Looks like it's probably going to be Aaron K about the question about the GMB post. Sorry, guys, I'm still looking.
So for the winners, best way to get pick up your prize is to contact Semantic Mastery support, which you can go to support@semanticmastery.com. And I hope Bradley got the winner.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Aaron K with the question about GMB posts and which URLs to use. He was talking about the share URLs or the interpage URLs and 301 and 302 redirects. And that's a good question because you guys, that again, it gave me the opportunity to really convey, like, again, I'm always talking about how to push link equity because I also understand that you should be using the share URLs for traffic purposes and to a more natural looking link profile too. You should be building links to that as well as running traffic through those share URLs. That's where Google expects to see click activity. So, and I often forget that, like, not everybody, thinks about that. They think, okay, well, this is the only way we can do it. And no, I'm just talking about pushing link equity. And I thought that was a great question because it gave me a chance to kind of clarify that a bit. So I need to try to remember that going forward. So Aaron K is the winner on that.
Sweet.
So
Aaron K, Eddie B, and Daniel Hartnett.
All right, guys, hit up support@semanticmastery.com and we'll make sure you get your prizes redeemed. And Brock, I want to thank you for coming and joining us for an hour today. Guys, don't forget to go check out patreon.com. Look up Brock. Brock, say your last name for me because I always fuck this up.
It's Misner.
Misner.
But everybody calls me Misner.
Okay.
I got my whole life, so don't feel bad.
All right. So
Every
Brock
time I
M,
say it, I don't know if it's Misner or Meisner. So,
it's going
I
to
think
become
like
Brock M. Just
Yeah.
Yep, that's the Brock M dude. So
I think it was like originally Misner, like Meisner. But I think like one of the ancestors knocked it off to sound more American or something.
okay, so Meisner.
I could be wrong. Yeah,
So
Meisner.
go check out patreon.com, look up Brock Meisner. He's got a great Patreon channel with, like I said, $20 a month is amazing.
yeah, it's real quick, patreon.com/getlocalseo.
There you go.
Yep.
And Brock, I'll reach out to you on Facebook and you and I can jump on a call sometime in the next, week or so. If you got half an hour or so, we can just shoot the shit and I'd love to catch up with you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And it's been a pleasure meeting everyone. Pleasure meeting you, Brad, in real life. Thank you for having me. Really.
Absolutely, man. My pleasure. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys.